I was a part of my father and my mom's, entrepreneurial spirit. Actually, Dad had several businesses. I can remember growing up as a child, it was McCray's photography. Had a dark room that was off the side of the house, so I was familiar with his photography business. And then after that, Dad did some other entrepreneurial activities, but he also opened up, Dad and Mom, opened up what's called Miller's Records and Flowers shop. I also watched Dad as he kind of traversed the landscape of small business in Kansas and small business in Wichita, trying to really get a feel for just how does this work? How do you open up your business and how do you sustain it? I was able to have that mindset, and then I think it also kind of marinated as an acumen that I was able to bring to our business when my late husband and I opened ours. It was my late husband, Larry Miller, and I that started the barbecue business, which I still own the property at 4601 East 13th. We were there actually in the freestanding, or what we call brick and mortar, building for 13 years. And we knew that we had a bestseller on our hands. And we also knew at the same time that not only barbecue business, but restaurant business is difficult. It's hard because food industry, period, I think if you ask anyone, it's something that you're there from almost sunup, definitely past sundown. And ours was pretty closely held, so we did have some what I would call additional employees, but family worked quite extensively in our business. So it could be challenging, to continue the pace. We knew at some point that we were not going to continue with the same stamina and energy to run this business, and that we wanted to, exit out of the restaurant running business and instead into a food development. We were helped with that by a KDHE employee. His name was Ernie Barnes, and he was an inspector, and he kind of dropped some knowledge on us and said, you all really should think about developing your baked bean product and selling it in the stores because it's just that good. From there, I took on the task of actually reaching out to K-State Food Development. Instead of it being a recipe any longer, it became a formula, because they knew that in order for us to sell this product, that it had to be had the ability to batch up and still keep the same quality, that we had, or what we would consider our specs. We also knew that we did not necessarily want to own and or open a manufacturing operation. So we wanted it turnkey, and what was suggested was that we contact and find a co-packer that could actually pack the product for us according to our specs, do a non-disclosure, and that's how we got started with manufacturing and co-packing the Miller baked bean product that is currently sold regionally in Kroger's. I ran the front of the house, and Larry basically ran the back of the house, if you know that. Those are terms for a restaurant. So I did all of that portion of the business, and that included identifying a person and or entities to purchase the product. So that was the next level that we went to, and I personally went out to find buyers because we had the co-packer that manufactured the product, but we had to find somebody to buy it. So we automatically thought of Dillon's, and lo and behold, when I sat down with the category manager, presented the product, she said, "Melody, we get your product all the time. Of course we'll bring this product in." And I was like, what? So what Dillon's was doing was, for their picnics on an annual basis, they would have an annual picnic in Hutchinson. They would come to Miller's, they would purchase our products, and that would be all of it, the meat products and the sides. And so they were very familiar with our quality. Then we went regionally, and we also went nationally with Kroger. Some people will talk about Texas-style barbecue. They'll talk about Kansas City-style barbecue. They'll talk about Carolina-style barbecue. Wichita doesn't have its own. We do have our own brand. And I think Miller's had a role in that, but it was by way of Texas because Larry was from Texas. There's another part of the story of how the baked beans became the bestseller, and it is that there was a person that said, "Man, your product is slamming, but those baked beans, you got to do something with them." Well, at the time, it was my baked beans recipe, so it was a sweet baked bean recipe. Hey, we loved it, but we listened. I listened. I wasn't offended at all. I said, okay, let's see, what can we do? So it was suggested to use some of the ends of the barbecue beef, to put into the baked beans, and from there the rest is history. It started with developing it. You have to develop the idea and the concept. You have to take it from being that kitchen recipe into a formula that can be batched up. Buyers like to stay with what they've got because they know it works. And our product has been on the shelves now, and when I say shelves, I mean refrigerator shelves, not canned aisle. So you won't find our product next to Bush baked beans. You'll find it next to a coleslaw or a potato salad because it's a cold pressed product. But buyers like to handle what they know sells, and our product has been selling now for 24 years. Relationships are extremely important, I believe, in entrepreneurship. And those relationships can protect you also. We've had co-packers that have attempted to still, just not even pay attention to the non-disclosure and actually make a product that is very similar to ours and market it. And because of our relationship with Dillon's, they know the value and the taste profile. They continued to sell our product and blocked the other one. So I think relationships has been huge for us to be able to maintain the slice of market that is very difficult for most small businesses, small product lines, and individuals that are coming into the market. It's good to build a team that you can't do it on your own, and that there will be times where you'll think that it's just not working, but to nose to the grind, plow ahead. Because if you believe in your product, in your concept, your idea, and you have that team around you that's able to field any of the hard times and or the questions, the queries that come up that gives you any reason for doubt, you will figure a way. You're going to figure a way to not only move this process forward, but to sustain it.